Hello everyone, it is I, the Obsessive Gamer. Been a while since I've been on camera, and welcome to the end of 2020 in this unscripted channel update and questions and answer. Now, this is unscripted as I stated, so none of this is rehearsed and I'm just going to be answering your questions as we go forward and doing a channel update. But this will be broken down into 3 segments. We'll start off first with giving you a rough idea of what's coming up in the next quarter, I would say. Maybe less or more. I'm not exactly solid with some of my plans, but these are the upcoming plans of what's coming up in January, February or so as planned here. And then we're gonna go on to the questions and answers here, which I'll go through the number of questions you guys sent me, which was actually a decent amount, I would say, whether it was via posting it on the posts I put there or via email. And then there's the last segment, which is going to be what I want to do, what might come up in the more distant future, especially if we hit certain milestones as we go forward. We're at the end of 2020, and this has been a fantastic year for this channel. All thanks to you guys here for subscribing and viewing my shit for all of this half year. Thanks to the fact that I switched to cut content. Cut content was something I wanted to do with this channel for quite some time, I would say. In fact, since a decade ago, before I even had this channel, I had a different channel at that time that I abandoned and it got hacked, and now I decided to move on to making this newer channel here, even though I was already gonna abandon that anyways because I totally changed my format, my handle and everything back then. But I am very happy with the results. It started off a bit slow with Pokemon, but Mario really jumped it up high. And that brought you guys to me, and you've been enjoying the non-Mario stuff too, whether it be the Super Smash Bros. Video that we just released, the Pokemon video, Sword and Shield, which really got bigger than I thought it would, since I didn't think it would get that big because the older Pokemon videos didn't get that big. There was the Zelda videos, which slowly grew, and it became quite a juggernaut in how popular it became as well. And it's kind of been planned in that way, and the fact that I'm sticking with stuff that are more familiar to the people who want to see the stuff. In this case, I mean people who want to see, who are already fans of Mario 64. I thought these would be stuff that they could slowly relate to. So I didn't want to make it a hard transition to some of these topics. So I thought some of these would be great. I mean, The Legend of Zelda was a topic I really wanted to tackle. Ocarina of Time, I mean. And I've been into that subject for quite some time. But we'll get to that later because that's actually a question someone asked me. Now for the current plans that are coming up. So right now, there was a poll I recently made that stated which game you wanted to see made into a cut content episode. And Smash Brothers won by the skin of its teeth. And I was surprised how well Pokemon Gold and Silver did. Well, guess what? We're still getting a Pokemon Gold and Silver cut content coming up very soon, in fact. I was about to say next, but I realized I have a Zelda video planned next, actually. But I am planning to make Pokemon Gold and Silver the next concurrent series to come up. I am probably going to make it either go head-to-head with Zelda, going back and forth, or finish up Zelda and make this the next series to go forward. I haven't fully decided that yet. The next Zelda video that's coming out soon is what I'm planning right now, and then the one after that, I'll decide if it's going to be Pokemon Gold and Silver, or we're going to do a different video and then switch back to Zelda, or maybe I'll just go through all the Zeldas this month, clear it out, and do Pokemon next. I know Zelda I've been doing on and off, basically, because I wasn't sure how well you guys would take it going all the way from Mario into Zelda like that, because it'd be quite a clash for some of you, I imagine. Which, at first it was, I will not disagree. The viewership just dropped. And even when I returned to Mario, I noticed it wasn't really returning to those old Mario 64 numbers. And I think I understand why. The Giga Leak hype died, and that's something that I was probably expecting. I just didn't expect it to die as quick as it did. And it didn't surprise me really, just because I noticed a lot of other YouTubers were dropping it too around that time. So it kind of made sense. I mean, I would have covered more Mario 64 if I could find more Mario 64 cut content. But there isn't really too much. But Mario is something I'm planning to keep covering, and wait till the end of the video where I'm going to announce something Mario related very soon, because that's more of a DLC. But yeah, that's something I'm planning to do. Pokemon Gold and Silver. I'll be planning to come out in the within this very upcoming quarter. 2021 is my plan. And Gold and Silver is definitely going to be a running series. It's not going to be a one-shot video. It has a lot of content to cover. So it's going to be more like my Pokemon Red and Blue videos rather than my Pokemon Sword and Shield video. Love how I just jumped from the 1st to 8th generation like that and skipped everything in the middle, which I'll get to eventually. I mean, Gen 2 is coming up, so this is going to be the first series that's hitting 3 different games actually too, so hooray. So that's one plan here. Obviously Zelda now, the Zelda Ocarina of Time videos, we're now in the second half of the videos that I'm planning for this series. I mean, there's been certain ones added because there's been certain things discovered in the Giga Leak that weren't so noticeable, and I'm planning to make certain videos on that. And Ocarina of Time has been super special to me just because I've been into the field of cut content for it for roughly 17 years. And it's something that I've wanted to cover, and that's why I've been really dedicating all these videos to it here. And also because of the fact that there's so much to cover for it. As for other series that I might do in between this time, now I've dabbled with the Dolphin emulator recently to do that Smash Brothers video. Doing that, I noticed it has a very beautiful tool known as a free camera tool. That's a tool that's not on Project 64 actually, which made doing cut content episodes on some of those a little hard. I would have to usually hack in a code to let me control the camera free, or go into the debug menu that would let me control the camera all around free. In this case, I can actually control any game on the GameCube at any camera angle I want, which is why we had actually some neater camera angles for the Smash Brothers video. Meaning, I'm planning to hit up the GameCube game soon as well. We already hit up our first one, and there's a few other series I want to tackle soon. Wait till the end of the video, I'm going to get to some of those series later, because this is going to hit more future territory. But within this quarter, Pokemon is planned. We're going to also do a little special video revolving the history of Mario 64 2 and Mario 128. It's not really cut content per se, because this is a game that was not released, but it's technically a game that was being made, and these things were left on the cutting room floor for good in some ways, and some of them were reused for different games. And this is something I'd like to tackle. So it's more of a historical documentary and a cut content video mixed into one here. I know, sorry for the hand movements here, but yeah, this is something I want to do here. And it's going to be released pretty soonish in this quarter as well, as I stated here. And I also have something I want to do once I finish Ocarina of Time's cut content. And this is to be making a history of Zelda. Zelda, for some of you who don't know, was this going to be a remastered version of Ocarina of Time that was going to be on the 64 DD, which is going to have all this expanded stuff, and was supposedly re-released as Master Quest in the West on the GameCube and then on the 3DS. But it didn't cover the whole story, so I want to make something like that too, which in itself is actually a cut content episode, because Master Quest was released here, so I can't say that one wasn't a cut content episode, because there's plenty for that. And yeah, that's some of the plans I have for this quarter. I haven't really solidified too many other plans, but there's going to be plenty more cut content episodes within this next quarter, and many future episodes too, of course. So going on to the questions here, I've got a decent amount, and it's, I would say, some decent questions, and I'm going to be able to answer actually most of them. It says it wasn't a crazy number that came in. Now, heads up, I'm probably butchering your name if you're going to be called up here, so I apologize in advance here. So, going first, we got the first question that we got is from Genteria905, which reads, what do you think about the El Ezreal and the Mawario apparition? Well, El Ezreal did surprise me when it happened, and I'm talking about the Giga Leak that revealed that Luigi was actually on the cutting room floor. I mean, we knew for a while that Luigi was supposed to be in the game, but for us actually to get him in-game there, it was amazing. I mean, did I ever believe now the rumors, if that's what you're asking? No, I actually didn't. Even as a kid, I thought it was a little far-fetched. I couldn't read that as El Ezreal back then. Not that I was illiterate, because no, I was only 6 years old at that time. And I was, I think, in grade 1, where I did not know how to read, until grade 2, where they actually taught us how to read. I don't know if that's strange in some of your parts, but that's how it was here in Toronto by the Toronto District School Board, which can make some interesting decisions here. But still, yeah, I never really thought of it as much. In fact, maybe it was also the fact that a lot of people weren't really talking about it so much around my woods. So when I did get older and I heard about this, I was like, nah, this is stupid. It can't be real. So yeah, I didn't think it was real. But now that we have this, and it's a meme here that it was released on the exact date that was mentioned there, supposedly, well, amazing. Now the Wario operation, your other question here. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not real. It's bullshit in many ways, as is the whole Mario iceberg. None of that is real. If any of you believe that, which I hope you don't, because all of us just really have a lot of fun with the whole iceberg Mario thing here. Yeah, it's definitely not real. It's just a big creepypasta, kind of like the Ben's Drowned thing for Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask that we got. That wasn't real. This is not real either. There's no personalized copy of Mario 64 on every cart. There's no big Wario apparition either. The only Wario apparition that exists was the big head that appeared in that Space World commercial, which I guess exists in some form, but not actually on cart, in-game, not even as cut content anyways. But maybe I'll one day explore that. Maybe I'll explore that very soon. But otherwise, I think it's fine to talk about it in a more joking manner, and I am thinking that's what a lot of you are talking about when I see it mentioned on my wall here in some of the videos, and I do laugh with you guys. I do join in on the fun, and it is fun to talk about the whole Mario iceberg just because of the what if this is how it is, what if all copies are personalized, what if you meet Wario over there and he bricks your game or something, but stuff like that basically. Next question by Lidio Espanol. Why people interested about the iceberg of Super Mario 64? I kind of answered this one, but I guess I'll give a more concrete answer here. It's really creepypasta territory we're talking about here. If some of you remember Ben's Drowned, the Legends of the Ocarina of Time, the Legends of the Majora's Mask thing, which I mentioned earlier, it was a creepypasta, and it was fascinating, and I still love going back to those sometimes and just watching all parts of it, which covered a little tale of a cursed cartridge. It's kind of like what that is too, the idea that every cartridge is personalized. There might be a Wario apparition somewhere in the cart. There might be a lot of little creepier things within it that we never have access to before, that we may have that we may not have discovered actually. And that's kind of what makes, I would say, cut content in general a thrill, because it's the undiscovered that we like to hunt and see what was left over. It's kind of like that too. Even if we know it's not real, it just adds that whole creepy story atmosphere there, the whole creepypasta element. Because we like creepypastas in it, whether it's Lavender Town, Ben's Drowned, or even the Mario iceberg. Next up, by Marquitos, which cut content that you found is your favorite? Well, if we're talking about not just the stuff I've covered in this case, out of everything I've ever seen within the universe of cut content here, I would say it would actually be from Fire Emblem Three Houses, where there is this cut content of Annette and Felix supposedly betraying Dimitri in the Blue Lion's path and are on the enemy side. And that was such a fascinating one. It's a newer one too as well. The fact that your close allies that you work with, build up and everything, would eventually betray you, and it's cut content. So the story got completely wild. What could it have been? How could it have been? And it's something that I really had to think about actually. That's why there's actually a cut right there too. But if we're talking about stuff I've covered, I would actually say that it's actually the Hyrule Market beta actually. I've always found that whole town very fascinating. It's been one of the prime reasons why I've been so into Zelda cut content in the first place. But yeah, and Fire Emblem Three Houses has been also something I've wanted to cover for some time. But I know a lot of you have too much interest in that, as I did a little poll on that, and none of you really were too interested on Fire Emblem Three Houses. So don't think I'm gonna make one right now, at least yet, right now, until you guys maybe would want it. Because Pokemon Gold and Silver were kind of low on the list, and then it just shot straight up to being a near first place last time. So who knows, in the future we'll see what happens there. Next question by Elliot Entertainment Channel. What do you think about WarioWare? I know what this is, and I know this person here has asked for me to cover WarioWare's cut content prior, and it's a good request, and I get a lot of requests for cut content. But what I personally think about WarioWare, I think WarioWare games are pretty good for what they offer. Just quick little mini games to go through one after another here. But the problem is that with how many of them they released in rapid success, it eventually loses its flavor there. And they did that for quite some time, just releasing one WarioWare after another one, after another one, after one, until they were like, ugh. It turned out basically like the Mario parties, where they get stale after how many they released. Not that they're bad games. It's just you get tired with how many quick releases there are, and I feel about that with any video game series personally. Otherwise, yeah, they're pretty good series. And I do like all the characters that were introduced in there too, whether it be for Mona, Ashley, and the new design for Wario that was there. Next question, which is interesting, from Scorcher. Do you like pineapple pizza? It's okay. I'm not a hater of it like the internet likes to meme that it's bad. I'm not exactly a big fan of it either. That'll be my first on my list to order. Yeah. No, yeah. And yes, this whole Q&A could be about anything you could ask me, and I feel comfortable enough answering here. Next question from Kiwi the Kirby. How do you feel of making your videos? Well, at first, when I'm about to start a video, I groaned of the idea, ugh, I gotta make another video, I gotta spend time doing it rather than playing video games, because I'm the obsessive gamer. I like to game first and foremost. But I also like making this stuff, so I pushed myself hard enough to first get into it. And yeah, and then I get into the feeling of some nice enthusiasm once I start my research. And then into editing, where I get really into the grind of it. I have to piece together all my audio clips, which already was a pain to record there, and then put all that together. And they can be really long too, considering how long some of these videos can get too. But when you get into it, you really get into it and you really start getting excited. And that's video editing in general. At first you groan because you're starting out, but then you really get into the mood of it. And that's basically how I feel when I make these videos, especially once they're done, they're uploaded, and I'm waiting to talk to you guys on the live chat as they go up. But that's basically how I feel when I do this. It's everything from being just simply lazy from making it, to finally get somewhat daunting to go for bigger videos, and just pure strong excitement as I make them once we're actually making good dent into the videos. Next question. From Yoshi64. What is your favorite series or standalone game? You have a variety of games covered on your channel. Do you have a specific game you really enjoy playing? Which I'm going to combine this, by the way, with Gold Block 8's question. Best game? As they're both kind of asking the same question there in some ways. But yes, if we're talking about my favorite series of all times, that would be the Legend of Zelda series basically, and that always wasn't the case, as I used to switch through many different series, but Legend of Zelda is one that's always stuck to me, and I've always been comfortable going back to and playing any game over and over. And this happened since the early 2000s when I got into the series, and it's been just one good game after another, and it hasn't been a bad game. No, CDIs don't count, by the way. They don't count unless Nintendo, when it calls them official, then there's actual bad Zelda games. I even like games like Zelda 2 and Zelda 1 for some people who even find that a little too daunting for them. But when it comes to an actual best game ever made, I know I say The Legend of Zelda is my favorite gaming series, but the best game ever is a much tougher one. And there's a good amount of candidates. I more have a top 5 of best games, and they do include the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Super Mario Galaxy, Metroid Prime, Super Castlevania 4, and Metal Gear Solid 3. I almost forgot about that one for a moment, just because I haven't exactly played a Metal Gear game in a while since 5 has ended. Next question from Memo. What's the process you take in acquiring beta info and content from games? Do you do all the research yourself, or do you have a group of people that help you? So there's a variety of ways I go about collecting beta information. I mean, I have obvious sources like the cutting room floor, which I like to go to back and forth and look for, but that's not where everything is located, of course. And some information isn't always correct, as I've said before. But there is actually many other places I go to. I go to sometimes just simple forums that cover beta content on different games. Each series might have its own individual one on a different board altogether. They're usually not on one big beta content board unless you're on certain boards that are just for that, like on the cutting room floor sometimes. But I also go to some Discord channels that might be covering it sometimes, and I like to listen to it. Sometimes I also go on certain news sites that have discovered them in the past, and I look for that stuff too. But that's basically how I find a lot of my beta information. Some of it, but there is actually one other method I absolutely forgot to mention. I don't know why I forgot to do it. Literally doing the research myself. I usually look for the beta ROM that is leaked out maybe, or a code that will go into the debug ROM to access that stuff, or maybe even just hack the game straight into the source files themselves and look for some of that information. Which with Ocarina of Time, that was super easy to do. With Smash Brothers games, also super easy to do. Mario, not so much, and that's why the Giga Leak was so damn hard to go through, because no one was releasing a ROM of the Giga Leak itself, as the Giga Leak files were just literally files that were meant to go into actual programs to actually view the models, the sounds, the musics, whatever, and I don't have the skills for that because I'm a video editor, first and foremost professionally, and I don't know those techniques, and that would take way too much time to learn on my end in order to try to make these videos. So basically, I had to reuse many other sources for those to show some of the content of what was actually in those games. I still don't know if there's actually a ROM release with the actual levels, Luigi, and all that stuff put into them. No, there is actually some Luigi ROMs. I actually found some and played them, and those were fantastic. Play as Luigi. But none that I found that actually put in some of those cut levels, for example. However, but yes, like Pokemon Gold and Silver, which I plan to cover, I have the beta ROM from the Space World 97 leak that was released, and I plan to look into that directly myself to find stuff that I will share with you guys soon, as planned, of course. But whether I do this by myself or with others, well, as I said, research is all me. It's all me. As for the rest of it, but yes, the recording, the editing, and everything else revolving around it, and of course the scripting too, that's all me. Yes, I am a one-man show. At the beginning of the Cut Content series, I used to have Evil C, who has a channel called The Stuttering Gamer, which you'll find in my profile if you ever want to check out his stuff. He hasn't released stuff in a while, but encourage him to come back if you like his stuff. Yeah, he used to do some of the, just look over some of my scripts for some grammar mistakes and stuff, which you'll see him credited in some of those earlier episodes, especially in the Pokemon ones. But otherwise, I used to have Nightwind, who was actually an editor of mine on the gaming problem series that I used to run, which I'm sure a lot of you haven't watched because there are not many views on that, of course, because those are especially way before the Cut Content series happened as well. Now, but yeah, he did it up to there before he got pretty busy in life, so I returned back to editing my own show again. But otherwise, I've been editing more or less the entire Obsessive Gamer series myself, scripting it, planning it, making it, and at most I've got help from people here and there for smaller things, with Nightwind doing the biggest thing, which was editing some of those things, such as the gaming problems, the game save state, and even that a few videos in between that too during that era. But yeah, that's basically my process. Right now, I'm completely solo on this channel. Next question from It's Louise. When did you start to get interested in the development of video games? Well, if you mean Cut Content in this case, it was in the early 2000s when I had just got into the Legend of Zelda series. Unlike many people, I did not start with 3D Zelda like many people did with Ocarina of Time, but I started with the Oracle of Seasons and Ages before I jumped to Ocarina of Time. But by the time I was on Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker was also coming out too, and I was just super into Ocarina of Time. Like, that was what made this my favorite series originally. And when I was looking it up online, I found a lot of stuff about cut content. And just reading about the amazing development of Ocarina of Time, all the stuff that was found in the data, all the stuff that we were building up, whether it be the lost Hyrule town that was in development, whether it was the lost wisdom that we didn't get, the Ocarina pedestal, especially in that time, and then this carried it on to the Wind Waker's cut content too. It just got me really into that, into the idea of we could have gotten this stuff, but we didn't. But and I want to just keep learning more and more of this stuff. And I looked into this and I kept looking into this stuff for years, whether it be through Pokemon, Mario, Zelda, even many non-Nintendo series as well, whether it be Final Fantasy as well. But it was a thing I was always into, and I always like to love to keep checking the cutting room floor as soon as the game comes out to just see if there's some new content on a game that I really like and seeing. I've seen some of these games just get newer content as time goes forward. Like I mentioned, Fire Emblem Three Houses, cut content that slowly dripped in as time went forward, with it starting off with just them finding some characters that were not used to audios of character betrayal even. Next question from Tono Nanez. What's your favorite video game soundtrack? Castlevania. Yeah, this one, to some of my more recent subscribers, might be a bit surprising because I'm super into Legend of Zelda from what I just said earlier in this. But I was for a long time the best video game music in my opinion, with Final Fantasy running a close second behind it. But ever since 15 years ago, it definitely was Castlevania, and I love that music to death. I can keep listening to it over and over and over and not get tired of it. Hell, I edit with this music in the background sometimes. I find Castlevania music very powerful, very driving. It just has such good instrumentals, and I love the gothic metal to the creepier horror themes that it has to it too. And it's why it's one of the series that I especially miss, and it's also another one that stands in one of my top favorite series too. And as some of you know from my earlier days, I made a Castlevania 101 series, which isn't done. Speaking of which, the next question from Nightwind, my editor, as I mentioned just earlier. Castlevania 101 when? And any plans on retrospectives on franchises with big new releases coming? Well, let me give you a little background. Nightwind, as I said, was an editor, but he also helped me with some of the recording for Castlevania 101 Part 2. Which, let me give you a little bit of a background of what Castlevania 101 even was. It was a part of my old main series, which has been in hibernation for a bit because stuff like cut content really took priority because you guys love that stuff, and I really want to deliver that stuff all the time for you guys. And Castlevania 101 was from 2016 when I made both Castlevania 101 Part 1 and Part 2, which covered the whole NES era there. And Part 3 was something I've been memeing about for a while that I'm gonna make, and I don't make it. But I don't make that mostly because of the fact that I've been pretty busy with life between 2017 to now. It's definitely cleared up a bit with this year's COVID crisis that we have right now, as I'm able to use some of my extra time to rebalance my life and open up some time here and there too. And I'd love to be able to get into the main series again. And I tried to actually do that in the last half year when I made that Pokemon Sword and Shield top 10 that did not do well at all, and I thought it would just because I was getting kind of a big following suddenly and no one really watched it. But it's understandable why, because that video was Pokemon Sword and Shield, which was already controversial as hell, and I made a controversial title to it too, and it was a top 10. So none of those really stuck around, and if some of you are wondering what the main series is, it's basically a comedy skit series that covers gaming in a more informative manner while being entertaining still too. So I'll just keep it inside and I'll just recover with some wall meat that's still inside of there. What the? Dear Obsessive Gamer, I noticed that there was some wall meat unguarded here. Sincerely, Simon Belmont. I recommend you guys watch it and tell me if you guys do really want me to cover this stuff again too, because I'll return to it if some of you guys want me to really return to that series. But for now, it's on hiatus, and I do want to return to it one day again, when I feel like I have more time and I feel like maybe you guys do want to see this, and COVID's over, because I need Nightwind to film episode 3, because the main Castlevania 101 series has been a bit more of a complex series that needs extra hands to actually work with. So I might make that. And as for your other question, on making any retrospectives on series that have big entries coming up, or big series with entries coming up, well, I do want to make some things eventually. That would probably be either in more of a documentary form, maybe more the main series again too. But again, that's stuff I might be covering later down the road, as I haven't really thought too much about that stuff, and as right now, cut content is a focus. And to some of you worried, cut content is planned to stay as a focus. Even if I did some other series, that would still come up. I would plan to always keep that coming in this case, while other series would be also come alongside it too. If you're even not a fan of that, you would still get your cut content episodes here. So stay tuned. And if you do want more of my Castlevania 101, please let me know too, everyone. Next question from Anonymous. Do you plan to do any live streams or pre-recorded video discussions with others like Angry Joe or Mega64? Dear God, I'd love to do something with those guys, but those guys are way too big right now. But in a general sense, I mean, yeah, I would love to do some sort of a stream content, some video talking about a topic with other YouTubers. I technically used to do a series like that called Game Save State, which was probably my worst performing series on YouTube, and that's why it's dead at the moment. But a series like that. But I wouldn't mind doing some crossovers with other people. I want to do some things with the cut content series with some others. I wouldn't mind having some other YouTubers who cover cut content be on the show. So how about a Swanky Box and Tetrabit? Sorry about your name there, but you guys should come on here. How about you, Dr. Lava? Come back to YouTube, come back on the channel. Let's do a crossover together, all you guys. As for if I want to do just stuff about personal discussions or on games, of analysis on certain stuff with other YouTubers, sure, I wouldn't mind doing that eventually in the future. And I might one day reach out to do that stuff with some other YouTubers too once I'm bigger. I don't feel I'm that big yet. I'm getting close to 4K right now, which is good. We have really come a long way this last half year, but we're nowhere near the big guys I would really like to talk to in this case. I mean, in the original Game Save State, I talked with like Nightwind and Evil C, both of which aren't really big YouTubers at all, and I wasn't one either back then. And they would still be there with me in discussion too whenever I would do more of these things with other guests too, if I ever made such a series. But for now, I am not doing that stuff, and we'll be maybe reanalyzing that in the future one day. However, again, this stuff I would never plan to have this stuff overtake my other series, especially cut content, as I'm planning to have this more of maybe it would be an extra thing. Maybe it'd be one thing I do once a week on a weekend, but not something that would take over the channel. Cut content is a focus I'm planning to have with this channel, and anything else that was added onto it would not override cut content or take up its time is my plan. But that answers every question there is here. Alright, and now we're in the final segment here of what I want to do in the future here with this channel. Now, I am obviously focusing right now on cut content, and I'm planning to stick with that in the foreseeable future with this channel too. As you guys love it, and I'd be stupid not to make more videos. And I do love it personally too, and as I've stated in this video, that I want to keep making videos relating to the cut content because I personally love them, and I've been into it for over 20 years. Not 20 years, make that like 17 years, because I got into it with Zelda at first. Sorry about that. But yeah, if we're talking about other series, as I stated, the main series is something I want to return to one day. And I call it the main series because it used to be my main series on this very channel. The main series was when I started this channel from 2014 to 2016, where I made these, these comedy skit videos that were very informative around gaming. which I recommend checking out because I love those videos personally, and I'd love to make those again a lot one day, but they weren't really that successful. They probably made it around to 230 subs, I think, with the last one. That was, I think, not Castlevania 101 Part 2, but that romhack.exe one that I did. But yeah, it wasn't until I did then the analysis videos that brought me to 318, but then cut content took me from 318 back in May all the way to the 4,000s, which does it say here? Yep, we're at 3.74K, and yes, I had this displayed here the whole time in case you didn't notice. And I'm expecting to hit 4K very soon here, so obviously this is something I'm planning to stick with, and it's a topic I really like. I like it way more than my analysis videos, which I'm glad this took off and not that in this case, because the analysis ones would require me to have stuff coming out almost daily, and I don't really have too much time to do daily videos at the moment because my life is very full, as I work full time and I do this too, so it's a lot of work on my end. But yeah, as for cut content and what's coming up in the future, in the distant future, as I stated, Dolphin emulator was something that I did dabble into very recently with Smash Brothers, and because of that, I'm planning to do one of my most highly requested games so far, and that's Super Mario Sunshine, the de facto sequel to the Mario 64 videos I did in this case. It's finally being planned. When is it coming out? Sometime in 2021 is my plan for that series. And right now, Pokemon Gold and Silver is next, so we'll see. Maybe that'll be next. Maybe it's gonna be Luigi's Mansion, another series I plan to do, which I said I was gonna do originally in October, but I didn't do that because I did not want to go into it yet, and it was heavily covered recently there too by everyone. I didn't want to go into something that was so damn heavily covered. But as for what else I want to cover in this channel, eventually I want to go into other games as well. Right now there's been four major series I've been going into: Mario, Zelda, Smash Brothers, and Pokemon. There's other Nintendo series like Metroid, the Metroid series I'd eventually like to cover. Maybe I'll do Earthbound. Maybe I'll do Kirby. And Star Fox is one I especially want to do. And other series outside Nintendo I want to cover too eventually. Maybe Sonic the Hedgehog. Some Final Fantasy would be nice one day too. And as I've mentioned before, within Nintendo themselves, I'd also like to cover Fire Emblem if you guys one day like me to cover that stuff. But again, I usually like to go where you guys want to see as well. As I would say, this channel isn't just me, but it's you as well. We work together in building this channel together. You guys provide some ideas, some requests, and I make these videos for you guys to the best of my abilities. And you guys have been amazing in this stuff. I put out polls for you guys on my community page. I ask your opinion, what you thought of a video, and all this stuff. Don't think it ever falls on deaf ears. It works well on getting the direction of this channel going forward. So it's always good to participate on this stuff and trying to dictate what you guys want really. And I've put that where I wanted to do with this channel. And that's why I think one of the reasons why we've grown as far as we have, because we've worked together. You and I, you and us, all of us, as a community, have worked together on building this channel. And let's keep building this channel, as we're close to 5,000, which was a milestone I was hoping to hit sooner or later. But yeah, but bigger milestones I want to hit like our 10,000 and obviously further. But that's the big milestone. I want to hit 10,000 next. 1K was the big first milestone, which I did hit. Then 10,000 became the next big one. And the hurdle to 10,000 feels as hard as getting to 1,000 in the first place too. But we'll work hard to get there. So everyone, let's keep working hard on that. As for other things I want to do with this channel, maybe one day I'll bring back some other series as well. Like, as I've stated, maybe I'll bring back gaming problems one day as well. But again, that dictates on what you guys really want. But realistically, these are my future plans for this channel right now, the more distant plans to go forward. And we'll see where it's gonna happen, with where the direction of this channel goes. But too long didn't read. cut content is the main focus at the moment. Mario Sunshine is planned to come out sometime in 2021 as a series, not an episode. I plan to eventually expand into more series as well in cut content. Maybe bring back the main series one day if you guys really want it back and if I can clear up my time. And maybe go into some of my other series if you guys really want it, like Gaming Problems, which I'd love to return to, which I'd like you guys to check out too, and you guys see if you guys really want me to go into that one day. It's the end of the year here. You poor saps, including myself, as this has been a tough year on all of us here for many reasons, and that's okay here, because we're suffering together. But I've tried my best to provide you with content to ease that pain too, and ease my own pain in this case as well within this year. And I would say it's been fairly okay with me. I've had my ups and downs this year. Maybe end of the year was a little rougher, but I definitely feel pretty good today. And in general, in the last few weeks, I felt really good too. So I'm very hopeful that 2021 will be the end of the pandemic and things can go to a more norm again one day, hopefully, and we'll see where we go with the Obsessive Gamer as well. And so everyone, I thank you very much, as all of you are very awesome for helping this channel grow ever since we started this series on cut content especially, and I hope this channel further grows for all of us as a community to grow it together. I ask you as well to please go on my Twitter and follow me as well. Join the Discord channel as well and we can talk as a community there too. So everyone, Happy New Year's, and I'm the Obsessive Gamer. Thank you for watching.